Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this meeting of the Planning and Development Council of the Town of Oakville. Before we proceed any further, I want to take a moment to reflect on an anniversary worth noting. Today, February 6th, marks the day 60 years ago that Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II became the Queen of England and our sovereign. In the 60 years that have passed, the Queen's dedication to the people of all Commonwealth nations has been unwavering, and her deep commitment to public service has inspired like-minded action globally and locally towards the well-being of family, community, and country. During the year-long Diamond Jubilee celebrations, 60,000 deserving Canadians whose contributions have changed this country, and in some cases the world, will be honored with a medal commemorating the Jubilee. I look forward to tracking the progress of the medal recipients, particularly those who have done so much to enhance Oakville's outstanding livability. Who knows, perhaps among us there'll be a future recipient. In any case, it's a proud day for the Queen. I understand we have regrets from Councillor Khan and no others.
No.
And
we also have regrets, from Councillor Grant.
And regrets from Councillor Grant. And then, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest, Councillor Adams?
Regarding item 6, section 6B, regarding the Old Bronny Road Kelsa Gate streetscape plan, I have an interest in that as my spouse is employed by TDL Group, who have previously expressed an interest in this matter, so I'd like to have a separate vote on that matter, please.
We'll do that. Thank you for the declaration. Council, would two of you like to move in second, moving into Committee of the Whole? Councillor Duddick, Councillor Johnston, all in favor? Opposed, if any? We are resolved into Committee of the Whole. Your first item is the consent item, the release of site plan agreement on the Appleby College land. Councillor Duddick?
Be pleased to move it.
Discussion, all in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. We have no public hearing items, that's why I didn't read the public hearing statement, but we do have several discussion items, and the first one is the Heritage Planning Work Plan. If you're interested, Council, Scott Hanna is here to provide you a presentation. Otherwise, you have your report. Councillor Duddick.
Thank you. I'd be pleased to move it, and congratulations to our Heritage staff for doing a great work, and we're excited on the work plan ahead of us.
Thank you. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That is adopted. That brings us to the Urban Design Manual, Part A, Terms of Reference. And there, Christina Tizard is here if you desire a presentation. Otherwise, you have your report. Councillor Adams.
I'll move the recommendation to receive it.
Thank you. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed, if any? That's adopted. That brings us to item 4, the Council Subcommittee for InZone, which is our project to make our zoning bylaws conform to our new Made in Oakville official plan. Councillor Johnston.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll give you the following recommendation, that the following members of Council be appointed to the InZone Subcommittee. Councillor Johnston, Duddick, Bird, Elgar, Noel, Adams, and of course yourself.
Thank you. And will you also be moving the terms of reference in the report?
Of course.
Thank you. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that's adopted. Congratulations to the appointees. That brings us to item number 5, the Midtown Oakville Implementation Projects. And you have your report, and if you like, the Commissioner is here to give you a presentation. What is your what's the disposition here, Council? Councillor Knoll.
I'm sorry to be the skunk at the garden party, but I would like to have the presentation on this, if that's okay.
It's not skunky at all. The Commissioner is ready and raring to go. We'll start with one and see where it leads us. Commissioner Closey.
Mayor and members of Council, the Midtown Oakville report that's in front of you today goes back in terms of its history actually well beyond the places to grow. But in the places to grow, the provincial growth plan, they identified the Midtown as an urban growth center. That was in 2006. In response to that growth plan requirement, which requires a particular density to be built within that area, the town undertook the draft Midtown Business and Development Plan, which you see in the bottom left-hand corner on the screen. That was a plan that looked at how we could accommodate the 200 jobs and residents per hectare within the Midtown area, so it understood the transportation requirements at a very conceptual level. It looked at the built form requirements that would be required in the urban design and policy framework. That was the background report that then formed the basis of the Livable Oakville plan, which you see in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. That's our schedule from our official plan, which sets out our land use distribution within the Midtown, our heights, which fits within a range, as well as our urban design and parking and functional policies within that area. In terms of moving forward with that plan provides us the framework of what we would like to achieve within the Midtown, but the implementation studies are still the next component so that we can actually achieve some of those requirements. We've listed here 5 studies that this report is directly about. Transportation Master Plan specifically for the Midtown. As you're aware, the town's undertaking the town-wide Transportation Master Plan. There was 2 components to that study. In the Transportation Master Plan, this is a 3rd phase and it's specific to Midtown. Stormwater was another component that was identified because of the implications for managing stormwater with the new development, as well as the urban design, parking, and zoning. So specifically on the transportation and stormwater, as I said, it's a 3rd component of the Transportation Master Plan. As part of Livable Oakville, the transportation work had been done, but at a very conceptual level. So you'll see on the lower right side of that screen, the map that is in Livable Oakville now. The policies within the plan identify that as a conceptual road network. What this staff report is recommending is that we proceed with, in essence, the EA work, which will look at the road alignment for each one of those roads that are identified in mostly the blue, so that then we can establish where is the preferred alignment. That then allows us to do really 2 things. First is to ensure that as development occurs within the Midtown area, we're capable of identifying and taking whatever roads we need out of the development area so that we've secured them to provide for that transportation network. And secondly, identifying the costs that then would be incorporated within the development charges. On the stormwater side, there is right now some major pipes that run through pretty well the middle of Midtown. So they need to be understood in terms of, right now there is a constraint on development in some of those areas. That needs to be understood, as well as strategies for managing stormwater in the future. So it's recommended that we retain Cole Engineering to complete both of these studies, and that funding for those studies be a consolidation of other Midtown work in order to be able to fund the study. The next set of studies are urban design, zoning, and parking strategies. The urban design and zoning are very much in concert with the urban design terms of reference that you had on the agenda tonight, as well as the in-zone subcommittee for the zoning component and the terms of reference that were undertaken before. It'll report through that subcommittee where zoning is being considered for the Midtown. What's necessary is to establish the regulatory framework. So the plan gives us the vision. This gives us the regulatory framework in order to shape development to meet the plan's objectives. The parking strategy component is to try and understand how we can achieve that transit-oriented development in still a very much car-oriented framework. So how do we do that through municipal parking strategies, municipal parking garages? How do we treat the tools we have within the Planning Act for minimum and maximum parking requirements? So how do we use those various tools to achieve the objectives of the plan? The recommendations for the urban design and the parking strategies within the report is that we retain urban strategies as a single source. Urban strategies undertook the business plan for the town in the past. They're also currently involved with Metrolinx in terms of the mobility hub work, and the urban design, zoning, and parking strategies are both informed and are informed by those Metrolinx studies. So they are also undertaking the Metrolinx work. So there's a good synergy between those to retain urban strategies as a single source. Funding for those projects are through the development charges. So with Council's receipt of the report tonight, it would then, if approved, would allow us to undertake again that third phase of the Transportation Master Plan, get underway with the urban design and parking strategy, and the zoning component actually staff would undertake, as well as to get the zoning bylaw underway. So with that, that concludes the presentation.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Questions, Council? Councillor Knoll?
I don't have any questions. I'd be happy to move the item when it's appropriate.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Knoll?
I'll move the staff recommendation and thank staff for the fine work they've done on this matter.
Thank you, Councillor. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed, if any? That's adopted. That brings us to our advisory committee minutes for the Heritage Oakville Advisory Committee, which has been distributed to you as an addendum. How do you wish to proceed? Councillor Duddick? Councillor Giddings? Councillor Giddings? Oh, yes, okay. So, Councillor Giddings, work with me here a second. Thank you for moving that the minutes of the Heritage Oakville Advisory Committee meeting of January 24th, not including item 6B, be received, and that item 6B, Old Brownie Road, Tulsa Gate Streetscape Plan of the Heritage Oakville Advisory Committee minutes be received. And we'll take those in two votes. The first vote will be that the minutes of the Heritage Oakville Advisory Committee meeting of January 24th, not including item 6B, be received. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that carries. The second item, in which Councillor Adams will not vote, is that item 6B, Old Brownie Road, Tulsa Gate Streetscape Plan of the Heritage Oakville Advisory Committee minutes be received. All in favor? Opposed, if any, that carries, and Councillor Adams did not vote. Now, if one of you would provide me with a motion to rise and report. Councillor Johnston, thank you. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That carries. I rise and report that the Committee of the Whole has met and has made recommendations on consent item 1, discussion items 2, 3, 4, and 5, and advisory committee minutes item 6, as noted by the clerk. I need a mover and seconder for this report. Councillor Johnston, thank you. Councillor Elgar, thank you. All in favor? Opposed? That carries. Is there any new business of an emergency, congratulatory, or condolence nature? Thank you. Perhaps we could now have a mover and a seconder for consideration and reading of the bylaw. Councillor Knoll, Councillor Adams, thank you. That the following bylaws be passed, 2012-10, the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the meeting of council. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That carries. Thank you for your time and attention. We are adjourned.